Well, we all knew this announcement was coming. I knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I think that was the last video I made. I didn't mention, but it was basically the title of the video, that Marvel and DC were holding the comic book industry in the palm of their hand. And depending on what decisions they made, that was going to determine things. Now, Marvel, as far as I know, has yet to come out and address exactly the same kind of thing. But DC Comics did. DC Comics will use other distribution methods to get comics to stores. This is because Diamond Distribution, the only retailer for comics, is shutting its doors. Presumably they're planning on opening sometime in the future. But I think that seems actually pretty unlikely that that's the case. It has more to do with money and the economics of the situation than it does with coronavirus specifically. I want to get into this for sure. But Downcast Rise and Fall, actually my dad was asking me earlier today, I was talking to him on the phone. He said, hey, has all this stuff affected your book sales? And we're in the in-demand phase, so things are always like kind of slow. They trickle in, but not really. Like I'm still getting roughly as many sales as I would on the last book, or as I was, in the weeks prior to this, coronavirus thing, just in the in-demand phase. And it's kind of slow going anyway, but still getting backers. So yeah, if you haven't backed it, maybe you're one of those people, check it out. It's in the link in the description below. All right, now I saw that you boy Zach made a video on this same topic. I did not watch his video because I don't want my opinion to be tainted with his opinion, but then I'm going to go back and watch his because I'm curious what his take is on it. So basically, this is on Bleeding Cool, and it's not just those of us on YouTube who have been saying that Marvel and DC need to address this. They got to say something about it, because literally everybody in the entire world has addressed it except for Marvel and DC. Well, at this point in time, DC has addressed it. Okay. And I said in my last video, if Marvel and DC plan to ship books directly to readers, if they plan to continue with their publication schedule, because they're going to go for that cash flow, and they're going to keep sending to people, that would be the last nail in the coffin for comic book shops, because it's just opening up a whole new route for people to get books. So the route that DC went is to, yes, keep publishing books, but they're not, at least so far, haven't said that they're going direct to consumer for their new route. They said they're going to be using multiple distribution channels to get it to stores. Now, the reaction to this is going to be a few different things. I think a lot of people were hoping that the entire industry would shut down out of solidarity for those comic book shops that have closed down and will surely be going out of business because of all this. That's not how you run a business. And so it's I don't know that it surprises me. It doesn't really surprise me that they're going for the cash flow instead of the solidarity, but it kind of just underlines what a weird system comics is, because I don't know, like if making prudent business decisions isn't the first priority, if solidarity is the first priority, that is not a business. Like, join a political party, join an organization or something. There's so many other things you could be doing, but if this is a business, you have to be chasing the dollars. And it's, again, a lot could have been done sooner. But here they are. So I would not be surprised at all if some of this is going to include direct to consumers, because whether DC Comics is shipping to comic book shops or not, many comic book shops are closed down anyway. Despite Diamond, they were being shut down by their local governments, state governments, and it had nothing to do with Diamond whatsoever. And so Diamond was kind of a reaction to the shops closing, or at least that's what they'd have you believe. So this whole thing, I think honestly it's going to have the same effect, because you're going to have some shops still getting the books, and customers can go pick up those books from comic shops, and they're going to have other consumers from other states that are still seeing books being released, but they can't get them at their local shop. So what are they going to do? You either stop buying comics altogether, you're done, or you're going to go online and order those books and get them shipped directly to you. What else is there? Effectively, the direct market has now been outflanked. It's been outgrown. And again, things are not going to be the same after this. All right, so here is the official announcement that came from DC. I want to read this to direct market retailers. First, this entire team here at DC hopes that you, your family, and your employees are staying safe and healthy during this very tough and precarious time. We know that you have been waiting for DC to comment on the state of affairs and to address any measures we will take to help the community lighten the burden of the disruption to our business. And we've been working hard on a long-term solution-focused plan. Here's how we will help. Here's the interesting terminology used here. This is a long-term plan. All right, you don't pull out a long-term plan when you expect something to be a road bump or a minor issue. A long-term plan is something you roll in when there have been long-term problems, or if there have been just existential problems that have disrupted the industry. I've been saying this for months. The comic book industry is disrupted now. This has been just the last disruption. And so long-term solutions, that means that things are not going to be the same. And if DC is going to go this route, Marvel is most certainly going to go this route. I don't see how else they can go differently. As long as there is a competitor publishing comics, Marvel needs to be there competing. They're not just going to stop publishing comics. They're going to keep going because cash flow. All right, so here is the solution. Periodicals and books with in-store dates between March 18th, 2020 and June 24th, 2020 will be fully returnable. So they've gone the fully returnable route. I think that's good because, comic shops are just losing tons of money over this. And, they're already, I don't know when they order things, but I'm guessing that that's probably the time period. So they would have ordered these things before they knew that they were out of business, forced out of business by a situation entirely out of their control. Let's see. We'll even provide credit for your separate return shipping on these items only. So they're even going to pay for them to ship back. So that's good. That's a nice thing. It helps relieve the burden. This isn't fix problems with the industry. It's not a long-term fix. That is what I call Band-Aid solution. But it needs to happen, right? Those comic shops are buying books that they can't sell. Okay. Or, presumably that many of them can't sell. Additionally, because we anticipate that continued disruption to business operations will create regional volatility, DC is exploring a multi-distributor model to provide us with the flexibility needed during this crisis to get new content to our readers on an ongoing basis. And we don't know yet who those multi-distributors are. I've got to wonder what other distributors are there that are still working in this field. You could go to newsstand distribution or other things, but to go there, to have them ship it to comic shops, I don't know. We will see what happens. My guess is, if I was in charge, DC Comics has connections to AT&T. They've got connections. If they want to get things distributed, they can get things distributed. They don't need Diamond to do it, and I think this is going to prove that they don't need Diamond to do it. Best case scenario is this will just put Diamond out of business, or at least put them in the role as a competitor. Yet again, no longer monopoly, they'll be a competitor. All right, so that's probably the best way you could look at it. All right, it goes on. In the short term, we continue to engage in active conversations with Diamond to help us solve the distribution issues that have arisen and hope to get new product to stores that want or need it as soon as possible. We will provide additional information about how we will make that happen in the coming days. Thank you for your patience with us. The DC will continue to monitor the situation, continue to speak with you directly, probably ship you comics directly, and continue to support you through the days ahead. You are the lifeblood of this industry. All right. And that is speaking to retailers. So comics. Yeah. So DC Comics is probably going to be shipping books directly to those shops that still exist. That means a publication schedule is going to continue. People are going the business savvy route. Of course, you have to. This is the clawing desperation of comic books, really, the industry as it exists. Desperate clawing. What would I do? I don't know. I think they're doing the only thing really you can do. Unfortunately, there are going to be shops that go out of business for this. I looked a little bit into the whole $2 trillion package, that Congress passed. And some of the small business stuff was interesting. I don't know how you'd apply it. I own a small business. I won't be accessing any of the money that's available. But basically, they're giving out forgivable loans if you use those loans to do things like pay your rent and pay your employees, like just to keep food on the table, basically, and the lights on. You get a loan from the government and you don't have to pay it back. I'm trying to think if a comic book shop could really access that and use it in an effective way. I think some could, possibly. Others, I'm not so sure that that's going to solve the problem, because if you get a loan and even a portion of it is not forgivable, it's not free money, because you're using it to buy product, or I don't know what other else kind of expenses comic book shops have that don't qualify. I'm not expert on the plan here, but I'm not sure that taking out a loan is really going to be the best thing if you've already have a struggling small business and probably already have some debt and really thin margins and on and on and on. And you're not just talking about now, like this, we'll say up to 3-month period of time. We're talking into the future. The whole next year, next 2 years are going to be very difficult for a lot of people. I'm not convinced that a business loan, even a forgivable business loan now for this time period, is really going to fix the problem in the big picture. So yeah, I'm interested to know what you think about this. I'm going to go check out Zach's video and see what he has to say about it. I think ultimately going direct to readers, direct to consumers, has got to be, this is the world we live in. I love comic book shops, but it's better to be selling comics than no comics at all. And so it won't surprise me if that ends up happening. What would surprise me, though, is if any publisher actually hits that head on and they really promote that as their route to go direct to consumer, and cut out the comic book shops themselves. If Marvel does it, they're going to just look terrible. No one wants to be that person. But I think someone has to be. So I think they're hoping that, shops will do what they're going to do, and that readers are going to find ways to get their comics no matter what, as opposed to moving on to other hobbies. So yeah, let me know what you think about all this. I find this stuff really interesting, and I'll be watching it to see what's going on next. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and, as always, just let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and I'll see you next time.